Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. What's happening in the Northeast is concerning all of us, and recent news about a statement from the Chief Minister of Mizoram is also very, very concerning. I have with me Lieutenant General Nishikant Singh, who, of course, is a specialist in these things. And one thing I must tell you, he was the senior most officer in military intelligence for 5 years. So he knows a lot more than a lot of us do. So I'm trying to get some information out of him so that we all can understand actually what is happening, what are the issues, what does the government needs to do going forward, and let's look at solutions more than anything else. Sir, namaskar. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the program, sir.
Namaskar, Adi. Thank you very much for having me on your show. It is a great pleasure for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure's all mine. Sir, to open the conversation, how do you see the situation in Manipur? Although the violence has kind of toned down, died down a little bit, a lot of people are now looking positive. The Diwali celebrations were pretty good there. We can see some nice images coming out. As a matter of fact, there were pujas held, there were celebrations held, crackers were bursted, and this and that. Little bit toning down on the violence, which we can see. Do you agree with this particular analysis, sir?
See, I will say that it's very good that there is no violence. It's definitely an improvement over what has happened in the last 1.5 years. But the problem is, imagine there are 60,000 people who have been rendered homeless. Okay, they are staying in so-called relief camp. The relief camp, by what we think of a camp, it's not a camp. It's basically a community hall or a school where people are
Hmm.
staying, and the male and the females and children, they are separated. Can you imagine, Adi, if you have to spend 1.5 years in a railway platform? Okay, platform number one, your wife and children are staying, and platform number two, you're staying. You can meet them once in a while, you can walk around, but that is exactly what is happening in this camp. And imagine the future of the children who are staying there. What is their psyche? It has been 1.5 years. And imagine that their homes have not been kept captured by Pakistan, China, or Bangladesh or somebody. Their homes are very much within India. It is not 1947 where there is a partition between India and Pakistan. It is within the same country. Administration is being looked after by the same bureaucrats which are looking after in the valley as well as the so-called hill districts. And the security forces are the same which are deployed both in both the areas. In spite of that, we really haven't been able to find a way in which these people can go back home. Imagine if there is a riot in Gujarat, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, the people who are affected go back to their house, maybe say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. Here it has been almost like partition. You see, in the good fact, these people left their house when they were told by the security forces that we are evacuating you. But at least they realize that they are not going back once again. You see, that is the problem. So I will put it this way, that my yardstick for the return to normalcy would be when people can go back to where they belong. They were staying earlier prior to. Some have gone back. I will not say entirely, but those who have gone back are very, very have not, means they are not even 10% or 5% of the total people who are affected. So I will put it this way: one of the yardstick of mine will be when people can go back to their home.
That indeed, sir, of course. But how do you see the whole situation, sir? As a matter of fact, this whole thing we all know was perpetrated because of the drugs, because of the illegal immigrants that have come across from Myanmar. And how do you see the situation as far as that is concerned? Have you seen a little bit of a reduction in terms of the propensity of the drug trade in that area, which is basically leading to the root cause of the crisis. Do you see any sort of work which is done for that particular thing, sir? Because recently we have reports of large quantities of these yaba tablets and methamphetamine and a whole lot of things being busted in that area. So do you see that as a positive trend, or is this just basically trying to uh, curtail the damage?
I'll put it this way, that it will be very naive for us to think that in this problem the drug cartels are not involved. They
Hmm.
are definitely involved, and what must be what must be understood is that the 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 transportation of the drug still takes place. The only thing is that there is the amount which is passing through Manipur has reduced, and there are more. They are possibly opting the route through Mizoram and maybe through in the north also, because the seizures in Assam continue hitherto. So the bringing of drug may have reduced as far as Manipur is concerned. Or I will put the other way, the passage of drugs through Manipur has, yes, has reduced, but it has found a new route elsewhere. So saying that drug business has really been curtailed will be wrong. Yes, definitely the government and everyone is taking interest in controlling the plantation of poppy. Unfortunately, this basic issue for which the problem started has been sidelined. This has been sidelined, and now the talk is of a new political setup to be affected. So the the this is, I call it, is changing the goalpost every time. A new problem comes up, the goalpost is shifted. A new problem comes up, the goalpost. The original goalpost was illegal immigration. The original goalpost was drug problem. This has been now set aside. This, instead of that, we are now looking at things like tactical, what do you call it? No, there is Diwali has been celebrated well. So yes, definitely it must be done. I fully agree. But does it really indicate that what you see? I will put it this way, Adi. You are aware that Manipur is to have the National Sports University.
Yes, sir.
It has been more than 10 years. Why have you? Why has the construction of National Sports University not really affected so far? What is the problem? Problem is one community or some people will say, no, this is our land, this is our land. So everyone thinks that they own the land. At the end of the day, the land belongs, in my opinion, like a good Indian, I say, accept your own property, all the other land belongs to the government of India,
Yes, sir.
the Republic of India.
The nation.
But then
Yes, sir.
one is claiming that this is my land. I really have not understood that why can't the government sort out this? This is a very minor problem when you come down to the ethnic fight. But even this we cannot solve. So this, I gave this example perhaps to reflect that in the northeast, especially in states like Manipur, Mizoram, and other places, the rate of the government of India does run, but they run at the whims of the local people. Okay, like say, government of India says something about refugee coming from Myanmar. Okay, but the state government will take a different decision. They will not go by the dictates of the central government. So what we are trying to see is in the northeast, it is, though the central government is there, central government is respected, central governance takes place, but there are various power centers within the state, at the villages, at the border area, and others who will put a spanner in any plan you want to do in the name of local interests.
Hmm.
Okay.
So, sir,
So
these
there is
local interests that you've spoken about, these guys have become like a power center. And every time we see this, that a lot of initiatives are taken to kind of either bring down the problem or kind of bring out a resolution. Or as a matter of fact, for the border fencing, as you and I were having a conversation about this, we see that although the fencing work is progressing as much as it can because of the terrain and this and that, but the local groups seem to be having quite an objection to this, sir. What is the reason that there is this objection from the local groups? The Nagas, as a matter of fact, the Mizos also have come out and said, no, no, this shouldn't be done. Don't divide, the two countries and two areas and stuff like that. Do they not understand that without this fencing, this problem of illegal immigration and these drugs will never get sorted out, sir? Or is it that the local, smuggling economy and the local economy, which is supported by illegal activities, there has become so strong that they can't let it go now?
now we cannot really blame these poor villagers
You can't, sir.
and
Absolutely.
these local leaders when a chief minister goes to the US and talks about unification of people staying in three different countries.
Hmm.
That itself was really surprising to me because I expect that at least at that level one should understand what is sovereignty, what is the national interest and other things. But instead of that, local aspirations have been a subject for political gain for many people. The local aspiration really may not be in line with the national interest.
Hmm.
Today we were to say that why should there be a border fence between India and Bangladesh? After all, both are Bengalis staying in both the countries.
Exactly, sir.
Why should there be a border fence between Pak occupied Kashmir and our JNK? After all, ethnic similarity is there. Why should there be difference between Pakistan and India? After all, many Punjabis stay in India, many Punjabis stay in Pakistan. Why should there be? I've understood now. Now this is what we have to drive home to our people staying in border areas. That when you talk about sovereignty, we are living in 21st century. We are not living in the good old days. And the 21st century, when we talk about sovereignty, we talk about passport, we talk about visa, we talk about so many things. Maybe the British had created this as their convenience. Like even in Afghan, when you had the Duran line,
Hmm.
you allowed the people to go across, but now people are not being allowed to go across because, after all, every nation would like to protect its sovereignty, its boundary. The same people today, let us talk about Assam. Assam is being overwhelmed by people coming from outside.
Hmm.
And today, there is definitely danger of the, the original people becoming minority, as it has happened in Tripura. So there is the local interest is that I must allow. At the end of the day, when the British were there was no mobile, there was no video call. All these modern gadgets are. Today, I will ask a question to those who are saying that we must be allowed free movement. Earlier, from people from Myanmar and people from India, there used to be cross marriage. How many cross marriages have taken place in the last 5 years?
Hardly.
Really do not know how many have taken place. So, what was prevailing in 1947 is not prevailing in 2024.
Correct, sir.
Okay. And look at the standard of living. The standard of living between India and Myanmar is a lot of difference. In
Hmm.
India, all these people get job reservation in the form of scheduled tribe. So, a person from Myanmar who is being harassed by his own government is is rather pulled towards Manipur, where he gets an easy job, where he can become a civil tribe and secure a government job. Okay, and he has got a clan of people who will blindly welcome him, thinking that these are our people. Please realizing these are not our people. These are foreigners. Yes, the refugees have to be taken care of as per the existing convention. We have the UNHCR and other agencies to look after the refugees. But we cannot allow anyone and everyone to go back, go back. This is not an open border. Open border is the concept has to be first regularized how to go about for an open border, but this is not an open border. So I feel that people have to be really educated on what is nation, what is a nation theory. It is not that just because one Meitei is living in Myanmar, he becomes my brother. No, he's a Myanmarese. Just because one Meitei is living in Bangladesh, it does not become my brother. All the Meiteis who are in India, yes, we must take care of them first. Secondly, we are also concerned about happenings to Meiteis in Myanmar and Bangladesh. That is different thing. Concern. But the government of India's duty is first to protect its citizen. So I feel that this education is very important for my people staying in the border.
How do you think we should do that, sir? Because what we see is that a certain amount of aspiration, which is, there's nothing wrong with aspiration. I kind of support aspiration. I kind of support individuality. I support the traditions and cultures and this and that. There's nothing wrong in that. But this whole aspiration of kind of being uh, the spokesperson of every particular ethnic minority, which is probably in another country, well, it doesn't bode well for the larger interest of the group staying in India. And do they understand the factor that there's only limited resources for people, as it is India is an huge population, and if you keep adding more, where will the resources come from? It's not that we can just dig holes and dig out stuff from the ground for people to eat, people to do stuff with. So where is this just political, or is this just trying to get an advantage of a situation? What do you put this at, sir? Or is this just sheer lack of understanding?
See, one of the most emotional issue all over the world is the ethnic issue. Okay. And when it comes to ethnic issue, to mobilize support for an ethnic issue is not at all difficult.
Hmm.
So I'll put it this way. Today's leaders who are mobilizing the ethnic issues are tomorrow's legislators in making. Okay. What they want, what I see is many of them would like to emerge later on as parliamentarian or in the local assembly or in the district politics and others. The basic idea is to exploit the ethnic perception for own political gains. Political gains means not our political party. Mostly one, this is the first step in climbing the steps of various political parties. Sooner or later, they will join a political party and they will say, "Look at this agitation. I was so and so. I just did
Ah.
the thing." Have you understood now? So most of them are. How many of them will really go say that if you get nothing out of it, you today he said, "No, no, I don't want anything." But his ultimate aim is to emerge as a leader of that group. How many quiet workers are there? There are many of them who they don't make a statement. They don't make a statement. They don't do this and that thing. But you today, if I were to tweet against the government, saying the government has not done this and this thing, in 1 to 5 hours, I will have a million viewership of my tweet. But if I were to tweet saying that no, no, the government is doing a good job, we must be patient with the system, we must allow the system to recover, we must look after this, I will seldom find few thousand. So that is and that one really cannot blame. So our government must, yes, they must talk with all these the emerging leaders of the future, but do not give them a propaganda value that look here, I was called by Delhi. Your MLA was not called. MLA who has been rightly, who has been elected by the people, he was not called, but I was called by the Delhi to talk. And I had a separate talk with the MHM. I had a listen that thing. Heaven is to now. So thereby, he or she, her popularity amongst and the locals say, oh my God, he has been called by Delhi, but our this thing. So my request to those who are in the power, they have to be very, very selective. As far as possible, the talk must be through the elected members. After all, at the end of the day, an election was held, and these people are elected. Are we trying to say that our present democratic system of having election is not at all good? By calling somebody other than the elected member, aren't we sidelining him? And if we really feel that he's so useless, then have a whole new election. If we feel that so and so these people are useless, that they are not even worth being talked to, then why not hold a new election? Those who are elected, they should be the one called by the government to talk, and not anyone and everyone who represents a group. The maximum emphasis is being given to them so that we'll say no, we had a talk with so and so. That is very fine. But is he or she responsible to the government? Is he or she responsible to the people? I don't think so.
That is excellent, sir. I must say that is, and you brought out a very interesting perspective. I must say that I've read many a people writing about this issue. Nobody's actually spoken about it the way you have. That this is basically a political agenda. They want to emerge as a leader of a particular group by saying, strong things, making big statements, and just riling up a little this thing. Do you see the recent statements made by the I mean, it's in September, by the chief minister in Mizoram in the same light, sir? Is he trying to just shine up his vote bank over there, looking at the turmoil which is happening in that region? So, okay, let me just get my vote bank in a little bit of this thing. Let me say something radical. Although, as a matter of fact, since yesterday, day for yesterday, since the whole thing blew up, and a lot of people started asking him questions, he's backtracked and said, no, 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 I never said something like this, I didn't mean it, I'm sorry, it was all under the nation of India. We want, in the future, we see India as a growing nation. He tried to play with the gallery and say, oh, these areas should be joined within India, and all these tribes must stay within India, and sort of a thing. So firstly, is he trying to do that? And secondly, how do you see this backtracking of his, sir?
See, you must understand, he is not in a very enviable position. He has come to power with a lot of difficulty. I
Yeah.
really and his opponents are very, very die-hard, strong party. Okay. So, like as I said, it is very important for him to be going with the wave of the people. When you say wave of the people, there are many people who would like a separate, sovereign, different country of, or I will put it this way, from in the north. I will not even name the places, or in the west. They would like it a separate entity. But can our politicians really support them? No, you cannot support them. We know what is happening with Canada. We know what is happening with Pakistan and other things. There is our relations because of those people looking for a sovereign. Here also people feel that since our religion is different, our ethnicity is different, since our looks are different, we are not meant to be part of. So if I play this politics, I will become very popular tomorrow. But if I tell you, no, no, we have to go with the mainstream, we have to, then this man is speaking the thaka hua batchit. Have you understood? So, so it is very easy to talk. What possibly at the time of his speaking, I really don't know what was in his mind. That the more you speak on these subjects, the more you become vulnerable because there are other people who will be analyzing your speech.
Yes,
After
sir.
all, heading a state is not a head of a state speaking is not a layman speaking.
Yep.
And this effort to combine, I have said, tomorrow how will you play out if a chief minister of West Bengal says that no, we must combine all the Bangladesh, West Bengal, Tripura, and Assam together. Okay, if this comes out to be, how will the people react? Possibly, when he spoke, he thought that maybe that this statement of mine will be just swept under the carpet. But then these days, there is a total transparency in social media, there is total transparency in the alternate media, which will eventually bring out whatever we have spoken, and one has to be very, very careful. So, possibly he realizes that what has he done? Like he says, there are 30,000 of my people in this Indianapolis. Okay, there is when he gave the lecture. Somebody will ask a question. From such a small population base, if you have 30,000 in that state, how many are there in US? If that be the case, do they really deserve to be part of the scheduled tribe? The question also can come up. Somebody will ask. I'm not asking.
Yeah, it will, sir.
Somebody will ask that, okay, there are many communities which have got zero in that part of the country and part of the world. So shouldn't they be given this facility and not this community? So those are the connected things. So one really has got to be very, very careful. And obviously he will not, like I said, he came with a lot of difficulty to the power. And the effort he has put in, he wants to retain the same status maybe in the next election also. So he's going about trying to speak what people would want him to speak, and not the real facts of nationalism, real facts of patriotism, and other things.
Sir, he's spoken this in America. He's not said this within India. And that is very interesting to me. He's not said this within the geographical boundaries of his own state. He said this in America. So, do you think there is an audience in America and not in India?
No, no, it is not that. It is because, you see, when one goes and speaks in the other, in USA, he wants to impress upon those people who have come to listen to him in the US. And he was hoping that this will go and others. And you are aware about effort to create a different entity when Sheikh Hasina was there,
Yeah.
the San Martin Island and other
Hmm.
things. Those efforts are there. And this, then in the meanwhile, there is a lot of turmoil in Myanmar. Whether the present Myanmar government, how long will it last long? Will they be able to overcome the problem? In any case, even if they overcome the problem, it will be long time before they can really govern this part of the Myanmar.
Demilitarize it. There's so much
Uh,
militarization which has happened
so
in that
it will
region.
take a lot
Hmm.
of time.
Yeah.
So considering that, it was not a bad gamble to speak in this line. Then you remember that when we had this problem in Manipur, this community had applied to the UN, had written to Israel, had written to US, had written to EU, had written to Germany, had written to Canada, had written
Hmm.
to UK, and so many countries.
Yeah, the North American Manipur Tribal Association, NAMTA, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, sir.
And the word tribal is a misnomer. It is not a North American tribal district. It is North America Cookie Association. So
Absolutely. I, I
when you
I
talk
agree.
about warfare, when you use certain terms, the if I were to use the word tribal, there must be some other Tangkhul tribe or others are not there. It is purely a Cookie affiliated tribes are there only. Okay. So the name should have been as such. But then in that case, the weightage of the name will be slightly less, people will not know who is cooking.
Hmm.
All over the world, the word tribe is known, and it is very, very natural for people who do not know nowadays trying to project that tribals are being suppressed. Now, if it was that cookies are being suppressed, then you'll have to again explain who are the cookies. Okay, then somebody will say cookies, is it exclusive tribe? Somebody, no. There are Thadaus who do not want to be part of cookies. There are Paites with whom the cookies fought, and all those things will come in. So, but by using the word tribal, it covers all the whatever you had
Larger. Yeah.
larger this. I've understood.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is that all these people have written, and you remember the American ambassador saying that we can help you in overcoming the problem in Manipur. And the Americans should focus on Black Lives Do Matter rather than focusing on Manipur.
Yeah, sir.
I've understood now. But then those
Hmm.
are all part of the gimmicks in trying to, because the church must have told the American government that this is going on, this is it. So why not you try to please the church also? And even in this his speech, you will find that quite a attribution has been made to the church, isn't it? A lot of attribution has been made to the church for going about in trying to support the system. That system means the movement which is going on there in both in Mizoram, Manipur, and Northeast. So there is it.
That's very. I mean, I think that's you brought it out pretty clearly. Uh, my next question to you, sir, I want to talk about solutions. We know the problems. We've been talking about the problems for the past 2 years. You're a person from that place. Plus, you've been, as I mentioned in the introduction, you've been part of the military intelligence which operates in that region. You know the region very, very well, sir. Let's talk about basic solutions that could probably be as an advisory to the government or whatever it is. What do you think should be the first step going forward with regards to calming down the situation starting in Manipur, and of course not letting another Manipur happen anywhere else in the northeast? Just the first few simple steps, sir.
See, as I started off my conversation with you about people who are in the various internally displaced persons camp. The
Correct, sir.
first step, if the government can help in early return, if not the complete, a flow, continuous flow of reverse flow of these IDPs to their homes, it will send a message to everyone that we really mean business, and we do not want an Indian to be to be displaced in India itself. Okay, and this displacing an Indian in India will not be tolerated by anyone. This is the message that is required to be sent. If this can, once we do this, I can assure you that everything will start slowly falling into places. I can assure you that it is not only the Meiteis which I am speaking about. Through our various NGOs and CSOs, we are aware of many cookies who are staying in the camp. They also
Yep.
want to go back.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
They want to go back. Everyone wants to go. Look at the hardship which everyone is facing. Look at think of 10,000 students who cannot get their transfer certificate. Even if you want to get admission in another school or college, you require a transfer certificate. Without that, how will you get it? Somebody may say that this and that thing. Without that, you cannot get admission. So there are many multitude of problems which one really has not. Then comes the medical care. Then comes the civic basic essentials. Second is the government has got to ensure that yes, even now there is a continuous flow of supply, but within the country for more than 1 year, we have not been able to ensure a free flow of the traffic. This has got to be this is a very important to show that this is one country and not two or three different countries. We all are living in the same country, and we have to ensure that there is a free flow of traffic. Imagine if a person from Churachandpur wants to go to Delhi, he or she will have to first take a trip to Aizawl and fly out, or take a helicopter service. Or so there are so many problems like this. Similarly, if a poor man wants to go to Kohima, his journey becomes so difficult. I sometime back, about 6-7 years back, 7 months back, I met a women police officer in Bagdogra Airport.
Hmm.
She was with the CISF. She was a sub inspector. She's a cookie. She's crying. She said, I have not gone home for more than 1 year. I want to go home. Please allow me to return home. And my home has not been captured by Pakistan, China, or Bangladesh. It is very much within India. And we, because of all these problems, and these problems are, so if we ask the common people would want free passes. But I told you, the so-called future political leaders who are steering this movement would want the problem to continue. If the problem is not there, his survival as a leader will be jeopardized. So that is it. So this is one aspect. And then meanwhile, we have to think about the cause is illegal migration, and we have to tell the people that, look here, we have no grudge, nothing against the original Indians. It is basically the Myanmaris. Today, Myanmaris are coming in thousands or hundreds. Tomorrow they'll come in lakhs. And what will happen to your hospital? What will happen to your road? What will happen to your electricity supply? What will happen to your civil supply? And all those things has got to be understood. Because all these infrastructure construction are based on a target population. That is, our population by so and so will be so much. But if the more people come, they are also going to use all these civic amenities.
Yep.
And your job will become much more dearer. So many things. So one has got to really explain to the people that, look here, you are an Indian, we are an Indian, we are a proud nation, we are developing, we are becoming the fastest market in the whole world, and be proud to be a member. And if anyone wants to become an Indian, there are other official ways of becoming an Indian, not this bringing in 5-6 people immigrating and bringing them in, entering their name in the voters list and other things, and thereby changing the demographic setup of that area. Obviously, other groups are not very nice, they will also protest, and that will create a conflict situation. So these are a few steps, and border fencing, then citizen registers, registration, NRC, and other things. Those have to be. But the primary thing is two things. One is returning of the people who are in the camps. Second is free passage from one place to another. This is very important.
So the recent moves by the central government to kind of look at issues within Myanmar, and we know right now as we speak, there are certain group representatives from Myanmar which are there in New Delhi, and this is going to be 1 week long affair. Although we won't get to know much, but what do you think that is aimed at, sir? When we are going to be speaking to the Chins, the Arakans, and of course the Three Brother Alliance, some representatives who are coming from there, without the Myanmarese army, which is going to be represented in Delhi. What do you think is our perspective when we are looking at something like that, sir?
See, I really do not know what is the aim of these talks, but as a good, I like say my experience, I've been to more than 20 times in Myanmar. I've gone right up to Mandalay. I've gone beyond that in the northern area also. What I'm trying to say is that we have to support the government which is there in our neighborhood.
Hmm.
Whichever government is there in Myanmar, we have to support. Whichever government is there in Bangladesh, we have to
You
support.
have to. Hmm.
Whichever government is there in Maldives, we have to support. Whichever government is there in Nepal, we have to support. Other things may come later on. At the end of the day, after all, they are sovereign countries. Now, uh, what is the reason for these talks? Who all are representing? I really do not know, because, like, the problem with Myanmar, as I used to see, was that Myanmar has been in isolation for a long time. So the only country which was ready to accept Myanmar was China. So it is not that Myanmar is love Chinese, but they have no other alternative but to be going with the Chinese, because there was the only government which was really, like in the army we have this forces like NDC where the foreign officers are to attend.
Yeah.
And we do go to various countries. It is very difficult for us to, like, say, if I want to take a Myanmarese officer to Europe, no country in Europe will give them visa. Okay. In my group, we want to take an officer from, say, one of the countries which has got a bad reputation. Okay. So those problems, at that time we realized that it is very important for our government to be maintaining, supporting the government which is in power. Tomorrow, if another government comes in Myanmar, we must support them. Our job is, why should we try to create a, a a different group which will go against the government? Imagine what happened in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, LTT, how badly it bounced back. Now let us look at the Americans and the Taliban. What really happened? The Americans had to go back.
Yep.
What happened in Iraq?
Same.
Similarly, in India, somebody wanted to support the leader Binderwale. What happened to the end result? So ultimately, all these things really does not pay much. It is very fine for some bureaucrat who has suggested he gets a balle from his superior. Oh, you come out with a brilliant idea and all those things. But when you talk a long, these are, I call it, short-term ideas. But if you take a long-term view, including this happens, including even in the Americans. Americans tried their level best in Cuba. What happened? Nothing really happened. Nicaragua.
Mm.
So wherever there has been an interference, trying to interfere by a government, by a covered or overt means, it really has not paid much, and the prices, and we are not like the Americans, arms producers, which will affect our economy.
Yeah.
Americans do it because they are producing a lot of arms and they have to find a market. Do we require a market for our arms? No, we don't require. So my way of looking at it is that we have to support the government of the day. And if somebody comes to power, we'll still support it, like we are presently supporting the Bangladeshi government. Though many people would say that, okay, we must do this and that. That's a different question. But the government stance on Bangladesh government is very clear that we support the current Bangladesh government. That is it.
That's very pragmatic. That's how you're supposed to be, sir. That's absolutely true. It's you can't be antagonistic, because antagonism will actually, yeah, you need to put in costs wherever you see the requirement for it. There's no question. Lastly, I want to ask you, sir, with regards the border fencing, there's obviously, and I'm sure this whole negotiations and this and that and the whole game will kind of go forward, because they want to talk, they've got some concerns, this, that, all that stuff will happen. They're also trying to exert their position in the region as well, which is fine. I mean, that's not a problem. It's a democratic setup. We need to listen to all sorts of voices which are coming out from the region. Personally, I support it. That's not an issue. But do you think once, the free movement regime, which has actually been stopped right now, and of course the border fencing, which actually gets done in the next year or two, do you think this will bring in a change within the region in terms of tranquility and settling down of these issues a little more than what we kind of envisage without the border fencing going forward, sir? How important is this fencing?
See, whether it is done today, tomorrow, or another 5 years, border fencing will come up. Okay. It's only when you have a much developed society like Europe, you have the EU and other things. Even there also, earlier they were having their army, they have tried not to fight with each other. Those thinkings will come later on. But as of today in South Asia, where there is so much of disparity amongst the various population, this will continue. But I'm sure that sooner or later, people will realize the futility of the so-called, he is my brother in Myanmar or Bangladesh or in Pakistan or in Tibet will go away, and it comes to right or wrong, my nation is always right. Nationalism will slowly trickle in, and people will start realize that nothing matters more than the nationalism, and we have to be nationalist in all our thinking. At the end of the day, we hold the Indian passport. Our flag is the tricolor and not any other flag. Our national anthem is the Janaganaman. So all these things, values, will definitely come in, maybe slightly later, but it will definitely come in. I will put it this way.
Interesting, sir. I must say, sir, this has been an eye-opening experience for me to actually talk realistically, and realism is the way forward, because that's the perspective India Indians must have about any issues that come across. We're a country with diverse kind of people, and we will have differences. That's perfectly all right. But as you said, there has to be a way to sit down, communicate with the people, and kind of figure out solutions for it, rather than going on to an antagonistic way. And that's the main message that I'm going to take from your discussion,
See,
sir.
I would like to add one that
Please,
the government has got to talk to border side in Manipur. When I say border side, not separately, together.
sir.
If a existing government is not able to make border side talks, I will put it this way that everything is not well. Okay.
That is absolutely there, sir. As a matter of fact, I think that is one of the reasons why the government gets blamed. You're taking his side. You're taking his side. You're taking his side. It's quite a sometimes when you read the kind of feedback that comes across, then whenever I've covered it, I get mails from both the sides saying, "Oh, you're pro Methi. Oh no, you're pro Cookie. Yeah, I'm pro India, boy. Let's sit together and talk." I mean, that's the whole thing, and that's what I'm saying. So the messages of unity, the messages of communication, the messages of living together more than anything else. Thank you so much, General, for actually taking out the time, sir. And I'm going to be disturbing you much more in the future, because your way that you put things across, and the clarity of thought, I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the audience will as well. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.